to the gentleman for any opening statement the gentleman chooses to make. The gentleman's recognized.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Diana Gibson and I were friends for actually well over 40 years. I was there when she went to work for our former colleague, the late Elijah Cummings, and spent 24 years with him, and after Elijah's death has been with me up until her own death. We all have staff people that we sort of take for granted, that they'll always be there, that they will, outlive us and go on to do great things, and that's not always the case. So I appreciate your comments, your condolence, your reference here. She gave a lot of herself and her service to this country and is going to be missed in a lot of different ways. So thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. Today we convene, as the chairman said, an important hearing to discuss a topic that millions of Americans who have engaged with the federal government's secure online sign-in service know what we're talking about. It's Login.gov. If you've received unemployment benefits through the Paycheck Protection Program, or if you've received a disaster loan from the Small Business Administration, or applied for a job through USA Jobs, you've used Login.gov to securely sign in and access the much-needed government services that would be available. And so Americans have come to trust Login.gov with their sensitive information, and of course the federal government relies on Login.gov to help root out any potential fraudsters hoping to siphon money away from the essential government programs that we support, that we stand up and we expect to carry out their charge. Today, unfortunately, we must reconcile certain failures that have indeed come to light. Just a few weeks ago, the General Services Administrator, the Inspector General, released an alarming report that details how the GSA misled customers on Login.gov's compliance with the identity proofing standards that the National Institute of Standards and Technology issued some time ago in 2017. Federal agencies must ensure that their identity proofing and authenticating services meet the NIST standards. For government services that may have to have a higher risk of fraud, agencies may then require the service provider to meet an even higher identity proofing standard. For example, they may require more than a username and a password. In these cases, they may need to prove who they are by visiting a federal facility in person or by providing biometric data such as a selfie in an online environment. Login.gov operates a high level of identity proofing, but it was not at the ILA2 level, and that standard which requires biometric data. Login.gov failed to offer either an in-person or remote identity proofing option, and yet GSA started to bill its customers, comprised of roughly 22 agencies, for non-compliant services for as many as 2 years. The report found that multiple key personnel informed the Login.gov team of its non-compliance with NIST's IAL2 standards as early as January 2020, a few months after Login.gov began billing its customers. That was not the last time Login.gov was informed of its non-compliance, and yet it continued to mislead certain customers. It happened again in 2020 when a GSA consultant informed senior Login.gov staff persons of its lack of an IAL2 component. But it was not until June 2021 that a senior official at GSA announced internally that GSA would cease its efforts to meet biometric requirements because of equity concerns. So what is important to highlight here is that Login.gov has never met the standard. At least we have not found any proof that it has. It did not meet the standard then, and for many of us, it has not found a way to meet that standard today. And still, Login.gov continued to mislead customer agencies about its lack of biometric comparison capabilities until January of last year when the agency released its Equity Action Plan. And then finally, at the end of our 5-year timeline, GSA notified customer agencies that the services they were paying for did not comply with NIST requirements published, as I said earlier, back in 2017. So what the report does not show, and what is just as important to this conversation, are the decisive and immediate actions taken by GSA leadership when they were finally made aware of Login.gov's shortfalls. In February of 2022, GSA leadership removed the temporary director of Login.gov and instituted a temporary director. GSA then initiated a formal management inquiry to investigate misrepresentations. By March of last year, leadership referred to this matter, referred the matter, to the Inspector General to undertake a nonpartisan, impartial review of the matter. Now, I must say that it is rare for an agency to actually unilaterally request an Inspector General review, and I commend the GSA for taking that important step. GSA leadership has also created a new technology law division to specialize in technology-focused legal services. This is one action that we should be looking to replicate, I think, across all federal agencies in the future to ensure there is adequate understanding of the technology that is being deployed. I hope we can explore that today. As the chairman said, we're really trying to get to answers. We know what the issues are, but we really are seeking answers as we go forward. And lastly, in October of last year, GSA leadership directed Login.gov to undertake a top-to-bottom review of the program. I look forward to hearing an update on the progress of that review, what it has come up with, and what it is pointing to as things that this body and the full Congress should be looking out for as we provide the oversight that we're attempting to do. I want to thank all of our witnesses who are here today, that the chair, I'm sure, will properly introduce. We've been on a crazy little schedule, and so we didn't start when we were supposed to start, but we're all together now, and I look forward, like so many members of this panel, to hearing your testimony. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Thank you very much. It's my hope that